Welcome back to part 2 of our scary stories for sleep. If you missed part 1, it's right in our channel.
This happened 3 nights ago, and I still haven't slept since. Not properly. Not the kind of sleep where your mind lets go. Every time I close my eyes, I see that moment again, the mirror, the shape behind me, the way it leaned closer like it had been waiting for me to notice it. People always think fear is loud, that it comes with screams, panic, running. But that's not how it was. It was quiet, controlled, like something was carefully guiding everything that was happening. One step at a time. After I saw it in the mirror, I couldn't move. I didn't turn around. Couldn't. Because deep down, I already understood something without needing it explained. If I turned around, I wouldn't be looking at a reflection anymore. I'd be looking at it directly. And I wasn't ready for that. The phone was still on speaker. Still connected. Still alive with that faint, unstable static. "Daniel," my voice said again, slower now. "You need to keep moving." I didn't respond. I couldn't take my eyes off the mirror. The thing behind me hadn't disappeared. It hadn't stepped back. It was still there, still leaning, still watching. Its face, if it even had one, didn't look clear. It was like trying to focus on something that refused to stay in shape. But the smile stayed. Why, unnatural, unchanging. "Daniel," the voice repeated. "If you stay there, it gets closer." A cold sensation crept up my spine, because even without turning around, I could already feel that it had. The air behind me felt tighter now, heavier, like the space was shrinking. "How do you know that?" I asked quietly, for the first time since the calls began. The voice hesitated, and when it spoke again, it sounded different, not just urgent, tired. "I've already done this," it said. My chest tightened. "What does that mean?" Another pause, longer this time. The rain outside softened again, like the world itself was holding its breath. "It means you don't have many chances left." That sentence stayed with me, not because of what it said, but because of how it sounded. Certain, like it wasn't a guess, like it was something that had already happened. Behind me, the breathing returned, closer than before, so close now that I could feel the rhythm of it, matching mine. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Except, it didn't match perfectly. It was slightly delayed, like it was learning how I breathed and trying to copy it. My fingers twitched at my sides. "You need to walk," the voice said again. "Now." This time I listened. Slowly, without taking my eyes off the mirror, I took a step forward. The reflection followed. Exactly. Perfectly. But the thing behind me, it didn't move the same way. It adjusted, shifted, like it was correcting itself, staying aligned with me. I took another step, then another. Each movement felt heavier than the last, like I was walking through something thick and invisible. The door was only a few feet away now, close enough to reach, close enough to escape. But something felt wrong, and I realized it at the same time the voice did. "Stop," it said suddenly. I froze. "What?" I whispered. The static on the line grew louder for a second. Then, "Look at the mirror again," it said. My stomach tightened. "I am." "No," the voice replied. "Look carefully." I focused harder, past my own reflection, past the shape behind me, and that's when I saw it. The door, in the mirror, it wasn't closed anymore. In the reflection, it was slightly open, just enough to create a thin line of darkness along the frame. But in front of me, the real door was still shut, completely, unmoving. My breath caught. "What does that mean?" I asked. The voice didn't answer immediately, and that silence said more than anything else could have, because I already knew. The door in front of me wasn't the same door in the mirror. "Daniel," the voice said finally, quieter now, "do not open that door." My hand, which had already started reaching forward without me realizing it, stopped mid-air. "Why?" I asked. No response, just static. Then, faint sound, from the phone, not from the room, from the call itself. A creak, slow, heavy, like a door opening somewhere far away. And then, another sound layered beneath it. Footsteps, soft, dragging slightly, coming closer. My chest tightened as I realized something that made everything worse. Those sounds, they weren't coming from my house. They were coming from wherever the voice was. "Where are you?" I asked, my voice barely holding together. For a second, I thought the call had dropped. But then, "I'm where you are," the voice said. And this time, there was no hesitation. "No distortion, no delay." Sounded clear, too clear, like it wasn't traveling through a phone anymore, like it was standing somewhere much closer. Behind me, the breathing stopped again, completely, and in the mirror, the thing's smile widened. just slightly, as if it understood something I didn't, as if it knew what was about to happen next. My hand lowered slowly from the door. I didn't touch it. I didn't open it. I just stood there, caught between two versions of the same space. One in front of me, one in the mirror. And for the first time since this started, I realized something that made everything feel even more controlled. This wasn't random. This wasn't an accident. Every call, every sound, every movement, it was all leading somewhere. And whatever was behind me, whatever was on the phone, they both knew where that was. I just hadn't reached it yet.
Before any of this started, before the calls, before the mirror, before the feeling that something was sharing the same space with me, there was just me, Daniel Carter, living alone in a quiet apartment that always felt a little too still, even during the day. It wasn't always like that. A few months ago, the silence didn't bother me. I had a routine. Work in the mornings, distractions in the evenings, conversations that filled the gaps in between. There was always something pulling my attention away from the kind of thoughts that come when you're left alone too long. But then I lost my job. First, it didn't feel real, like something temporary. Paused. I told myself I'd figure it out in a few weeks, that I just needed time. But time has a way of stretching when you don't have anything to anchor it. Days blurred together, nights became longer, and the apartment started to feel different. Not in a way I could explain at the time, just small things, the kind you ignore because they don't make sense. Like how quiet it got. Not normal quiet, not peaceful, empty, as if the space was waiting for something. I started staying up later. There wasn't any reason to sleep early anymore. No alarm to set, no place to be in the morning. So I'd lie in bed, phone in my hand, scrolling endlessly just to fill the silence. Videos I didn't care about, messages I didn't respond to, anything to avoid that moment when everything stops and your thoughts get too loud, because that's when the overthinking starts. About money, about failure, about what comes next, and eventually, about things that don't have answers. I remember the first night I noticed something was off. Not the calls, not yet, just a feeling. I was lying exactly where I am now, staring at my phone, the room dark except for the screen lighting up my face. The rain had just started that night too. Light at first, almost comforting. I must have been scrolling for hours, because when I finally looked at the time, it was 3:17 a.m. I didn't think much of it then. Just another late night. Just another hour I shouldn't have been awake. But looking back now, that time keeps coming back. 3:17. Always the same. Always exact. Like something had chosen it. I remember putting my phone down that night, turning onto my side, trying to sleep. And that's when I noticed the silence. The rain had stopped. Completely. No transition. No fading. Just gone. And in that silence, I became aware of something else. Faint sound. So faint I almost missed it. Breathing. Not mine. Different. Slower. Further away. Like it was coming from somewhere inside the apartment. But not from any place I could point to. I sat up that night just like I did tonight. Listened carefully. Tried to locate it. But the moment I focused on it, it stopped. Just like the calls do. Just like everything does. As if it knew when it was being noticed. I told myself it was the building. Pipes. Air vents. Anything that made sense. And eventually, I convinced myself enough to lie back down again. But sleep didn't come easily after that. Because once you notice something like that, you don't forget it. The next night, I stayed up even later. Not because I wanted to, but because I didn't want to be in that moment again. That silence. That awareness. So I stayed on my phone longer. Scrolling. Watching. Avoiding. And that's when the habit started. Every night. Same position. Same routine. Same time.
3:17 Uhr nachts.
Without realizing it, I started waiting for it, not expecting anything specific, just aware, watching the clock, listening to the rain, letting the minutes pass slowly, until eventually, it felt like the night was waiting too, like everything was building towards something I couldn't see yet, something just out of reach. And then, 3 nights ago, the phone rang, at exactly 3:17 a.m., And everything that felt small before, everything I ignored, everything I explained away, it all started connecting. The silence, the breathing, the timing, the feeling that I wasn't as alone as I thought I was. Now, standing here, between the door and the mirror, with the phone still warm in my hand and that presence still close enough to feel, I understand something I didn't back then. This didn't start with the call. It didn't start tonight. It started the moment the silence stopped feeling empty and started feeling occupied. Behind me, the air shifted again, subtle, controlled, like something adjusting its position, still close, still patient, still waiting for me to make the next move. And somewhere deep in my mind, a thought settled in quietly, one I hadn't fully accepted until now. Maybe I was never alone in this apartment. Maybe I just didn't notice until it decided to make itself known. We've come to the end of our story. Do well to subscribe and comment part 3 in the comments so you don't miss it.